Hey friends, Tova Privet, Emerald Ambassador here. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over some of the details and benefits of our primary welcome pack, which is TriPlex. So you may be watching this if you're trying to learn more about TriPlex, or if you're kind of new to it and just want to know what to expect. We have lots of products, but for most people, this is the best spot to start, and hopefully after a few minutes of your time, you'll understand why. So it's three different products. The first one is kind of our famous pink drink called Slim. And really what this does is it's a raspberry watermelon flavor that you mix with anywhere from kind of 12 to 20 ounces, but it's a chromium based drink. So the point of this is a few things, two main categories. One is to stabilize your blood sugar. You do not need to be a diabetic or pre-diabetic to necessitate help with stabilizing your blood sugar. And I could talk on these for hours, so we're just going to sum up some stuff right now. So what happens when you prevent your blood glucose from going like this, like a roller coaster up and down, and you just get it steadier? Your energy levels don't go extreme up, extreme down. Your mood tends to stay more stable, and your cravings tend to stay more stable. So thus it's easier to make good food choices. You're more inclined to be able to work out if you're having sustained energy. So it's kind of a catalyst to get your body headed in the right direction. The other thing it does is it has prebiotics, so food for the good bacteria. And that's kind of a lot of what our company focuses on, is balancing out what's good in your gut, making sure there's enough of that, and then making sure we've killed off the bad and there's not overgrowth of the bad. So that's one point I want to make here. Taking care of your health. So props for even watching this, that you care enough about your health to learn. Sustainable health, as I'm sure you know, is just like going to the gym. You must continue to work out and exercise and go to the gym to have sustained health and help decrease chance of injury and decrease chance of disease. It's the same thing with taking care of your health with us. Oral hygiene is another way to look at it. This is not something where, well, I brushed my teeth really, really good yesterday, so I don't need to do it again for 6 months. So it doesn't work that way. The stuff we're exposed to and the toxins that build up in our body, we need to do this every single day and keep up with it for maintenance, sustainable health. So that kind of sums up our pink drink. There's a lot of other things, but those are the big ones. BioCleanse is the next one. I love BioCleanse so much. So it's a magnesium supplement, and there's lots of magnesium supplements out there. So why should you take ours versus somebody else's? So kind of across the board with our products, we really highly value quality, clean ingredients, because those aren't always across the board with supplements that you find out there, where the ingredients are sourced from, and then bioavailability. Make sure those ingredients are working in the right spot in your intestinal tract. So our company has mastered that, so you can kind of rest easy. So most Americans are extremely magnesium deficient, all right? And even the recommended daily values out there, there's a lot of research coming out where it's thought that a lot of those recommended daily values are too low. So just because it says this is a value doesn't mean that's ideal for your body necessarily. So the best way, in my opinion, to find out is give it a try, see if you notice a change, see if you feel a difference. So the big areas it can help you with is, of course, people immediately think of being more regular bowel movements. Everybody should be having 1 to 2 bowel movements a day minimum. So you can customize. The dosing is not super high per pill, which means some people need 1 and some people might need 4 or 5. So we can really play with it and find your perfect range, which is super nice to be able to customize it. But often people notice improved sleep, it helps to stabilize your cortisol levels. It also aids with blood glucose levels, thyroid maintenance, how our cells and mitochondria produce energy for the rest of our body, and making certain hormones. So your hormone balance, stuff tied to hot flashes, things like that. So really it's involved in over 300 reactions for our body throughout the day. So much help. Another thing it does is it's alkaline and helps to oxygenate our blood. And so if you're in a state where you're constantly under stress and constantly overstimulated with other things you're eating or drinking, or just your environment, mental stress too, it can affect your levels of magnesium. And we're also building up toxins in our blood all the time. And if you're not cleaning those out, just naturally what happens in our body is it pulls water in to try to dilute it. So that's where you'll see a lot of people holding on to water weight. And when you start BioCleanse, we can get rid of lots of that puffiness and the water weight that you see associated with things. Also, when our bodies aren't balanced, it can lead to something called leaky gut syndrome, and the probiome I'm about to talk about helps with that too. But really the takeaway is your intestinal walls, we have to get your intestines working correctly. I don't care how much you exercise. I don't care how clean you eat. If you haven't controlled good and bad bacteria balance and addressed inflammation from things we're exposed to, your intestinal wall isn't going to work correctly, isn't going to absorb the proper nutrients, isn't going to keep the water balance right. So there can actually be micro tears in the intestinal wall. So not only is it inflamed and thickened, it's leaky, there's tiny tears. So this TriPlex can help to repair that and decrease that and get your intestines working appropriately and balancing appropriately. And then the last one is your ProBio, and we love our beautiful little bottles. I save these and use it for organizing. So ProBio is to weed and to seed. So we want to continue to weed out the bad. And one of the worst things is Americans, it doesn't just have to be women, is yeast overgrowth or candida overgrowth. All right. Just the yeast feeds on sugar, the things we're exposed to in the society we're in, the way our foods are produced, and what's going on with our soil. We tend to have yeast overgrowth if you haven't addressed it. And that manifests in a lot of ways other than just yeast infections. So don't think that almost all Americans need to get their candida under control. So there's certain enzymes that you need to take to help break that down. The shell of yeast is kind of tough. And so not everything breaks it down, and the TriPlex has all the ingredients you need for that. And we want to make sure we're getting rid of it because it can affect the balance of feeding the good versus getting rid of the bad. So ProBio 5 gives a hint. It has 5 different strands of good bacteria that we want to be replacing. And also, so you know, when you start feeding your good bacteria, you can start to notice changes within 3 days with the bacteria levels. And when you stop trying to balance it out, the effects within 7 days, you've kind of gone back to baseline or worse. So there's a lot of science out there and evidence to show this is a maintenance thing, like I talked about. ProBio, your immune system, guys, is tied to your gut and your nervous system. So neurologists call the gut your second nervous system. They really do. So your endocrine and nervous system, immune system, all tied to there. 85% of our serotonin is regulated by what's going on in our gut. And serotonin has a lot to do with sleep and mood, neurotransmitters, how they're made, how they're balanced. You have to set your body up for success, and this will help you do that. And hopefully you've learned a little bit. There's a bunch more that we can tell you, but this is kind of the intro to why we consider TriPlex one of our primary ways to go and the best foundation to start with.